Greetings, anime faithful.
And welcome to the Otaku Way.
I'm Otaku.
And I'm Way. Now we also have Wea and Boo here joining us, because we convinced them to go see a movie with us. You're welcome to send help, you'll never find them.
They don't know where they live.
Did you hear that? We don't know where we live? Is that what you said?
You just don't know where you are, it's fine. We feed them occasionally.
There's lights everywhere. They do things.
You remember that episode from the first Iron Man movie where the 10 Rings has Tony Stark tied up? It's kind of like that.
We're also building a robot suit.
Either way,
Out of tinfoil.
we like to let them dream. Either way, we went and saw Ratchet and Clank today.
So, I suppose we should start with the synopsis of what this movie is. This is essentially an origin story for Ratchet and Clank that I believe differs from the game.
Now, who's actually played the game?
I've played the games.
You said this seems to be more of like a prequel to the games?
This seems like to be more of a prequel because Dr. Nefarious is, or kind of a spoiler alert, he's not a robot throughout the entire movie. He only becomes a robot at like the end. So yeah, kind of starts off with him being whatever alien he is, and then he becomes a robot at the end. Which in the games, he's, from what I remember, he's always been a robot.
I feel like we should profess in this video we are going to be talking very heavily about spoilers.
But,
So if you have any interest in seeing the Ratchet and Clank movie, allow us to start by saying, it's good. You should see it.
Well, let's each give us our a quick thoughts whether or not we recommend it. Otaku already says so. I think it's very much worth seeing, even that's coming from a guy who never played the games. What do you think, Wea?
I honestly liked it. I mean, as somebody who didn't really know about the games all that well, I liked it as a standalone movie.
Fair enough. I enjoyed it. It was probably one of the better video game movies. Probably give it like a 7, 8 out of 10, something like that. Around there.
Alright,
Ballpark.
well, after this point, I guess we're going to be going into spoilers, so here we go. So, brief synopsis is the movie starts with typical hero idolizing hero story. Kid wants to be a hero and does stuff to get inside. They tell him no, and stuff happens. He becomes part of the group, and hijinks ensue.
He also got a sidekick after like.
Well, he got the
Also kind of
sidekick?
important to the story.
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck literally half the movie.
Yeah, fucking basic. Okay, third way. Ratchet's just some kid on a desert planet. I mean, pretty stereotypical for sci-fi movies these days. Except he's a furry. So,
Like Zootopia, you find your persona.
I have to bring up the furries every time. I just know.
He's not a furry though. He's not a person. He's not a person in a suit or an anthropomorphic animal. He's literally a fucking alien that looks animalistic. I don't know.
There we go. I just wanted to get that out of him.
Whatever fetish
Either
works
way,
for you.
Just Way looking for furry fetishes.
Oh, well, you know it. I don't know.
So with all that out of the way, I really just want to get to like the meat of why you guys should see this movie. This movie's fucking hilarious. Like, it is really good. Like, I heard this was done by the writers of the original movie.
Of the original games.
The games, yeah. And this shit was funny like the entire time throughout. They like have like the perfect like moments to like reference other things. Like there's a point where a robot falls off a ledge, does the Wilhelm scream, and then another robot yells, Wilhelm!
That was probably my favorite.
That
joke.
was
That was
fantastic.
really funny. It's like a lot of like good, like kid-friendly humor. Like it's definitely a movie centered at kids, and I wouldn't say like this movie, as far as I recognize, didn't have any like hidden adult jokes in it, like a lot of kids movies tend to have now. Like just a bunch of like either like sex references or references to like actors that like kids wouldn't really know. This movie seemed a lot geared towards kids, but I think that was to keep into the spirit of the games, because if you've played any of the games are also funny. Like they're meant to be very comical action platformer type games. They're not meant to be taken seriously, which I think this movie captured that very well.
Another thing about, I'm kind of building on top of that, like, yes, it is a video game movie by PlayStation, but it didn't really cater to the fans of the video game. It catered to anybody who likes movies in general.
I would say that it did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say cater to the fans, but it definitely did.
Made
stuff
a lot
for
of
the fans.
references that the fans would understand.
It realized it was
Definitely,
a standalone
yeah.
property, and unlike the Pokemon anime movies that were like back in the day, where it's just like, oh, here's a slight story synopsis. They're like literally going like, no, we're gonna explain what this universe is with its own self-contained story, and then we may go into like other story elements.
I will say it was very welcoming for someone who's never played the games, didn't know anything about them. I always assumed the rabbit thing had just a wrench he smacked things with.
The Omni Wrench.
And they did reference that in the movie, so I assumed that was a thing. But so I think I felt like I got a good picture of this universe, and actually I do want to go play the games now. So
I do know a big chunk of the games is literally just the weapons you get to wield, and like all throughout this movie, there's just ridiculous weapons everywhere. I'm not sure how many of them were actually in the games.
A lot of
like,
those. They had like literally the iconic Rhino, which like got a laugh out of everybody.
That's
who
actually
played the game.
one of them.
That's from the game. That's like one of the more powerful weapons in the game is the
That's
Rhino,
fantastic.
and like it got a chuckle out of everybody, like, especially those who didn't know what the Rhino was or what it stands for. And yeah, so that was in there too. Granted, it didn't shoot or anything like that, but they definitely, brought it out. They also had like another iconic one. I keep spacing on exactly how to say, but the gun that turns enemies into sheep, which is
They call
also
it the Sheepinator.
which is also in the games. Like
that
it's
thing
something
was pretty cool.
in
I
the
like
game.
that.
I find it funny how you say is like it got a laugh out of everyone, even though everyone that was in the theater was just us and a group of friends.
Yeah, I should stress, part of the reason we're making this video is because this is a good movie. We want people to see it, and we were the only people in the theater.
Okay, let's be honest. This is literally the first showing where we are
And on
in
a
the
Thursday.
States
True.
on the first day. It officially doesn't come out till tomorrow.
But I want this movie to do well. I'd like to see it maybe continue
I
with
think
trends.
it will. I don't know if it's going to break any records box office, but I think it's going to spread the word. It's going to do.
At least
at least make
good
a
with like
profit.
families. Like tomorrow, when parents are off of work, they'll probably take their kids to this. Like I
Yeah.
said, because this is a movie because there are a lot of kids movies that try and get that adult audience through those like adult jokes, and so what will happen is, okay, I'll take my kids to it. I'll see this adult humor, kind of get a chuckle out of it. Tell my friends, they'll take their kids to it, and that's how word of mouth spreads. This is very much a kid-centric movie, so it's going to be a lot of kids and man-children that are going to watch this movie.
President.
This is
He's
what
not wrong.
That's exactly who's going to watch this. And if you are a fan of the games, I play the games, but I wouldn't consider myself the greatest fan of them. But like those who are fans of them, I think will still like them. You know what I mean? It definitely had the weapons that you wanted.
Going back to the humor, I will say, like you said, it's not any hidden jokes or
Right.
hidden meaning jokes. It was very much
Straightforward.
humor, but it also showed that humor doesn't have to be
Raunchy,
deep, or raunchy, overthought. It could be simple. I mean, that Wilhelm scream thing. Yeah, a kid may not know what the scream is called, but everyone's heard it.
right?
And so when he yells Wilhelm,
Those who know what it's called,
it's a good joke.
It's a clever joke.
I will say the references when he was trying to scan to see what Ratchet was, Clank was scanning.
Oh
him.
yeah.
Even I caught those references.
Yeah.
They straight up. There's a lot of good Sony fan service in this, where they reference other things. Like there's one point where I think it was like a computer console and it made the old school like PlayStation look.
startups.
And I was like, oh, the nostalgia.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I
that was
didn't play
great.
I played the original PlayStation 1 system a little bit, but when that sound effect came on, I was like, I've heard that sound effect before.
Yeah.
Is that
Now I have
PlayStation?
a question for you. You said that they added a couple characters in this one, or maybe it was the other guy. But you said
Like the original main bad guy, and Victor were new characters. Like the guys who were voiced, basically the people who were voiced by really famous people are not from the games.
Okay.
So like I didn't know Paul Giamatti voiced the main bad guy. I don't even remember his name. Not very memorable name.
And yeah,
but,
and his henchman was
Lark.
Sylvester Stallone.
Blark.
Yeah, and his henchman.
And I
was
will say
Sylvester
that I
and
didn't
those
call-
characters were new.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking this was like a prequel, because yeah, those characters, as far as I can remember, weren't in any of the games so far.
Well, my question is about the side characters for the Rangers, the chick and the musclehead.
Yeah,
Those were new, weren't they?
I think they were. And so was the girl Clank.
Okay,
Like-
I was wondering if she was like your mission person from the games.
Not that I can remember.
Was Captain Quark in the game?
Apparently,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
obviously
Yes.
great
He is a
fans.
famous in the
PlayStation. You could have him as a PlayStation emblem.
Yeah,
Seriously?
he's
Yeah.
like really. He's like that. He's like Zap Brannigan from Futurama. He's that quirky
He
captain.
really fucking was, but
And-
that's great.
And
That was
yeah, I
so
wasn't saying it's a
funny.
bad thing, but like, yeah, he was part of the games. He was like one of the more like comedy, a lot where a lot of the comedy comes from. in
If
the
I
games.
had to say one thing that I liked about him, it's the fact that like compared to Zap Brannigan, who essentially does nothing at any point, he uses still an active like role. I'm not sure if he's like that in the game.
yeah.
But like the fact that he's actually like helping out and stuff like that, that I appreciate, even if he does have a tendency to just be weird. Because half the time that just leads to funny humor anyway, so I'm fine with that.
One thing that I really liked about this is that a lot of video game movies. The problem that a lot of video game movies have is that they try to take themselves too seriously, and that's why I thought that it was nice just seeing this movie be really lighthearted.
I'll be honest, I see it kind of differently. I see that a lot of video game movies don't take themselves seriously, which is why it turns bad. Whereas this movie took itself very seriously in the sense like, yeah, it wasn't a serious story, but Sony actively worked to get this game made, or to get this movie made. Excuse me.
Well, what I meant by that is like they try to take the story that they try to change too seriously instead of just embracing it as a video game movie.
No, because I would say even a lot of the older games, like the original Super Mario movie, like the live action one that was really bad, wasn't taking itself too seriously. It wasn't trying to make this deep, crazy story. It was actually trying to be funny and stuff. And that one was still shit. But then again, Nintendo had little to nothing to do with that game. Whereas this one, PlayStation was actively trying to create a good movie for this brand. You know what I mean? Which gives me good hopes for the Sly Cooper movie that's supposed to be coming out.
And Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying
Warcraft
'cause
has nothing
Sly-
to do with like the
this
development.
movie, but I'm saying like Sly Cooper's also a PlayStation movie or a PlayStation game and gonna be a
And I believe
PlayStation
it's
movie.
actually being made by Rainmaker Studios. as
Exactly,
well.
yeah.
So
And
the
that's what I'm
same
saying.
team that
So-
made this movie is doing Sly Cooper.
See, I would be interested in that. I've played a bit of Sly Cooper, and
Yeah,
I
and
definitely enjoy that.
That's why I'm interested in that. You know, more of that furry stuff for Wig coming up.
Woo!
But yeah, I think it gives good.
With a real free.
No one's gonna argue on that.
Fucking weird.
Just wait for those orcs.
Oh, that's my fetish right there. I want a woman who could cuddle me between her manly arms.
I had seriously. Your pelvis is just as good.
I do want to say this. I will say I heard a theory about this, and I have to kind of agree. When they make video game movies, half the point of a video game isn't the story; it's also the gameplay.
Oh, agreed.
So, like Prince of Persia, which I enjoyed.
I like that movie.
Never saw the
The
movie.
problem, a lot of people says a lot of the gameplay of that, or a lot of the part of that game is the gameplay. It's the climbing, the acrobatics,
Oh yeah.
and
for sure.
that's a major aspect of it. It doesn't translate well to film because you can't really throw that in there. Yet they tried. So a lot of people didn't like it because they thought a lot of the climbing scenes and the things he had to do was a little weird.
Right.
So, and I think that's what this did best. They didn't try to bring in the gameplay to it. It's just an action adventure story.
That reminds me of like, I don't know if you guys have seen the Doom live action movie.
I saw
But, like,
that.
like there's a final sequence where it's literally goes into first person and it looks like a Doom game kind of sort of ish, and it's
That was
where they literally try to put in scenes
That-
of gameplay. It was like
I'm not even gonna lie. That was the only part of that movie that I really liked. But
Really?
I liked that scene.
I was
I
not
wish
a big
that-
fan.
I
I was
I'm
just
gonna say
different
this.
about it, but I did feel it was like kind
When
of
I first, when that movie first came out,
It
that
was
was when they
something.
advertised
Yeah,
that movie.
it was
That was the only part they showed in the advertisements originally, was that gameplay section.
Right.
And honestly, I thought, and I always wished so hard that this was true. But when I first saw that, I'm like, oh, they just made a movie in first person like a game. And I thought that would have been an interesting idea, and we had to wait till what now to get Hardcore Henry.
Yeah, to get a first person.
But I think Doom would have been more memorable and a better movie if they would have kept it that way.
I don't know if it would have been better. It would have been more memorable. But then again, these big budget movies don't take risks. Is the
That is an issue. Yeah. I mean,
It's
yeah.
because they're afraid to lose
the money.
Yeah, but they also don't realize
And like
if you don't make risks, you can't make new things.
And to my knowledge, even like Hardcore Henry like started initially as a YouTube video.
It was a
That
music
just-
video.
Yeah.
It was
Or
a music video for a guy directed a music video for some band, and like a lot of people really liked it and were giving like such great feedback. Like people were watching it, like completely ignoring the music just to see like this. This well directed, well shot.
Did people
first
even
person
realize
thing.
it was a music video?
I don't think so, because a lot of people thought like that. It was just a YouTube project, but it was actually supposed to be a music video for this band. and it just got so popular that the guy was eventually given the green light to make a full-blown movie in the same, style that he did that music video.
And we could also say that technology allows for it now with the stupid GoPros being so much more advanced than they used to be.
It's a lot easier to do something like that.
I think we're diverging though, guys.
Oh yeah.
Fuck Ratchet and Clank. Let's go on GoPro.
This is our review
I will
of,
say what my
Hard Clank.
favorite scene was when they were introducing all those guns that apparently is part of the game,
Yeah,
and they showed how incompetent he was with them.
yeah. To be fair, in the games he uses them really well, but like the weapon you use the most is definitely the Omni Wrench in that game.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a let's beat up.
Yeah, but even then, he really only used that like once in the entire movie. Like,
Yeah, the Omni Wrench was not very prominent in this movie,
Yeah.
and to be fair though, he didn't really use the guns that much either though. He like
didn't?
shot
If
a
I had to
couple times.
If I had to say anything about like the guns that you were talking about, like when he first uses these guns, he's garbage with them, and then just later on, he's perfectly fine with them. So if I had to criticize anything, it's the fact that I was kind of wondering why he suddenly just went from being garbage to being
But
really, really good.
I'm going to make an argument against that. Is you really don't even see him use the guns after that first training scene. You see him once make a really critical shot to close a door, and that kind of came out of nowhere.
No, when he fights, spoiler alert again, Captain Quark, he uses all kinds of guns.
He uses every gun.
He uses
has.
Oh yeah,
every
he
gun,
does.
but he
That
uses
was a
Okay.
gun battle.
That was straight up a gunfight.
I only remember the stupid punching bag.
And here's the thing, like
Because that made me laugh.
even though the guns were part of the video game, I'm glad that they didn't focus on them too much.
Oh yeah, they
It's,
definitely threw them in there for the sake of like the game, but it wasn't a movie of let's reminisce about all the weapons you could use across all.
No,
the
that was that
Yeah.
one scene where they showed he was garbage with them.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that long. It was just a couple minutes of him using a variety of different guns, and they were funny scenes. They were meant to be a joke.
If I had to say anything else that I liked in this movie, I really liked the character designs. Like, there's a lot of moments where there's like even like small things. Like, there's a scene where Clank crashes his ship onto the planet, and there's actually like these like almost like glowing like little slime monsters and stuff like that. There's like a lot of like small touches of like just weird, quirky alien designs.
I would agree
liked.
that it is very a good, well-designed game. And the art style is very, or not game, movie.
Well,
That's
the
just
art
gonna
style
keep
was-
happening this entire video.
I will say that there was two things that probably got to me through the whole thing that I'd say tore it down just slightly. I think it was very fast-paced and didn't let some things sink in. Things just seemed to happen really quickly. And that's a kid's movie, you gotta keep attention for the little ones. But I feel like it should have had some more time to focus on certain aspects. Like, oh, the planet got destroyed, now I'm gonna go back, and all of a sudden he's just back on his thing. No one knows where he's back on his planet. And
Like-
no one just knows he got there.
Well, one scene that I thought was really funny, because yeah, they are destroying planets in this movie, and they get to a point. So far, the villain was destroying uninhabited planets, and then he finally targets this planet that is inhabited by they give the number, it's like 62 billion people or whatever.
Yeah, something
and
like that.
it's funny too because they say that number once, to give you oh yeah, it is inhabited, but they never bring it up again, and then they blow up the planet. So apparently,
Well, they
in this movie,
evacuate the planet.
They said
no, he said he was going to. Remember?
No, they
When
did
he
evacuate. They showed
they
at the beginning.
did say they were successful.
Remember, they showed that joke of population of the planet, and then it started ticking down from 40
don't
million to like
remember
10 million. Yeah, they said that they did evacuate it. Because kid movie.
Because kid, I just thought.
I'll be honest for a second there. I thought that planet was dead.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
and straight up,
uh,
what they do in this movie is the Death Star. They just blow up planets.
it is the Death Star.
Well, no,
That's
because
not
it's different
bad.
from the Death Star. Because in the Death Star, the whole point was to destroy a planet. In this movie, the deplanetizers, what they call it, was to destroy planets in a specific way, so they could get pieces to make this Frankenstein planet.
If I'm being
That was
honest
weird.
though,
Yeah.
I kind of
It's
wish
interesting.
It was.
I kind of wish they actually went into why the main villain of this movie was trying to make the perfect world.
I would say the villain's motivation was very under.
I have only one idea. Is there's one moment where he's looking at the planet almost complete, and he's like, "I did it, Daddy!" That's maybe his father wanted the perfect world or something. That's my only
Little
theory.
backstory.
At one point, he
Yeah.
said that I grew up on a planet underground, dark, and disturbing. And the villain's motivation, he was straight up a businessman villain, which I thought was hilarious. Because when they did this, they did a PR joke for Captain Quark, and to me that was endlessly funny
That was a good
because
joke, yeah.
that is an over-exaggeration, but kind of what happens in PR in general. That's what PR people do.
He's the victim.
I find it funny, they evacuated the planet, just so that they didn't have deaths because it's a kids movie. Yet you see the main villain get vaporized by his own laser as he's on his
the one
that he
Yeah, they
made.
did spend time just to show you that the villain of this
And like
movie died.
it doesn't just like cut away just before the laser hits. It shows him vaporizing bit by bit.
And that was kind of effed up. I mean, they even showed the main villain, Dr. Nefario.
Not
yeah.
nefarious.
Dr. Nefarious. They showed him fall into a core and like get digitized. That was kind of graphic.
And then he turned into a robot.
And then they implied that robots found him and turned him into a robot, and it was very, very painful.
And then start a franchise of Ratchet and Clank.
Yep.
Put together by Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury.
So in conclusion, buy the games is the whole point of this.
I'm not gonna lie.
PlayStation is
I'd buy them.
After
PlayStation,
this,
please send us free stuff.
after,
Yeah, please find us somewhere on the internet.
After this, I really am gonna buy the HD collection because I believe there's an HD collection for PS3, right?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think
so,
there
yeah.
is. I
I
am
think
buying
so,
it
yeah.
tomorrow.
I know. I
at
am.
least a game of PS3. I'm pretty
Because
sure.
I got the
I know there's
HD
other
collection for Sly Cooper because I played one of those games when I was a kid. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it's like.
And so I started replaying them recently, and I forgot how fun they were. So
Yeah, they're definitely fun.
and I
games.
definitely want to play Ratchet and Clank now for that same reason.
And I feel like that this is going to be the start of like good, not only good but faithful video game movies.
Okay.
I definitely like the idea of the people that made the video games working with the people making these movies, not just like as like, oh, we're advisors or something like that, but actually taking an active role. And since this was an animation, they were kind of afforded the opportunity, I think, to be kind of involved the same way they were with the video game. When obviously, like, making a video game is very different from making a movie. You're still going to need those people that make movies a reality as a part of the project. But I definitely like the idea of those people not just being hired as consultants or something like that, but actually going like, no, I'm the one making the script for this movie because I made the script for so-and-so games in this series.
Yeah.
It makes sense in my opinion.
Thinking about it, I also heard that the Last of Us was getting a movie that was being worked like in the same manner like the original writers of the games
Really?
are working alongside it or something like that. And I was thinking about it. That's also a PlayStation game. So I'm just like,
Well,
apparently
you think
PlayStation is
Sony's
just like
we're gonna
make all the good fucking.
Let's be honest. I mean,
movies.
they've been trying to do Sony's been the one gaming company that's been trying to do more movies than anyone else. They started with Final Fantasy Spirits Within, and regardless of how you feel about that, that was a proof of concept that they could pull it through.
Was it them that did that, or was that Square? Because I know Square.
Oh, that was Square
That
shit.
was Square, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is the first PlayStation movie.
Because like
You're
Spirits
right,
Within
fuck,
was
I don't-
Spirits
Yeah.
Within was tried by Square.
But Sony has their own movie company, so they have experience doing this. shit.
Yeah,
I'm an idiot.
Yeah, and so yeah, I just figured like they're like it seems like this is the first game company that is trying to actively make good video game movies. Like this was the first one, obviously. Sly's coming out, and then
And Blizzard might follow suit because they're the people that worked on the game are also working on the movie.
yeah,
Now that I think about it, this could also explain kind of why Nintendo's selling the rights to like a live-action Pokemon movie right now, just because they're like seeing that Sony's making an active interest and possibly investing a lot.
I
of
think-
money
but
in this.
that's a bad example though. Like Sony is not selling the rights to that movie; they're actively involved and trying to control
And
the
I
movie
agree.
to be good.
I'm not
And you're
saying-
saying
I'm
the
not
opposite. You're saying Nintendo's selling the rights. They're like,
I
you make the
understand-
movie.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, I think they're essentially trying to be the DC to Marvel.
Maybe I don't see
If Sony
that.
becomes that.
Yeah.
I would
I
probably
don't see it
argue
either.
more along the lines of Sony's set up as a company to do this. They have their gaming division, their technology division, their movie division. They have everything they need within house to make a good video game
What a
movie. They don't
fucking
need just to
idiot.
sell off the rights. So I'd probably argue that Sony's probably one of the few video game companies, because they're not really video games, they're
But
technology.
they make video games. Though.
They-
Like,
yeah,
have
but
their
they
own-
mostly do
video
third
game
parties.
division and a movie division.
Yeah.
But they're the only company currently, I would say, is set up to do it and do it well. I mean, Microsoft is huge, but they don't have a movie division. Nintendo is massive, but they don't have
Yeah,
a movie
but
division.
I'm not saying that Nintendo themselves should make the movies. I'm just saying Nintendo should be involved in making the movies. But when you sell off the rights to a movie, it's more like saying, here's my characters, you have the rights to use them, have fun. I'm gonna go kill myself over here. That's what Nintendo's doing. They're gonna shoot themselves in the fucking foot. Whereas Sony was like, oh, here's the rights to my characters, but let's be partners in this relationship. Let's make this work together. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Nintendo has to make the movie themselves and have to control it and produce it and find a director and all that. I'm just saying Nintendo should be, or at least Game Freak, if it's a Pokemon movie, like be somewhat involved in the making of it, not just say,
no, I agree.
Here's my characters, make money.
But that, I would agree with that, but when you look at the I go with the argument also, as if you look at the Marvel movies, I mean, once they got in with Disney, those movies became much bigger. And not only that, but now they're with a company that was set up to do it. I think if you have an internal structure where you're allowed to take care of all aspects of it, you're going to have a better chance of a movie instead of selling off rights and say, oh, I want to be involved.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you can be involved as a consultant.
But Marvel is still involved in those movies, though.
They
like,
are, but they're also owned by Disney, so they're set up to do it.
Yeah, but I'm like, that's the point. Is the creator should be involved to some capacity? Is what I'm saying.
No, I agree. So hard.
Not that they shouldn't, because like, think about the movies that they're not involved in: the X-Men franchise, the Spider-Man franchise, the Fantastic Four franchise. All the movies that they're no longer involved in are doing shit. Whereas the movies that Marvel finally got the rights to and is under control, even before Disney were considered good movies. Yeah. Because Marvel was like, we know our characters. We know what makes them good characters.
And I agree with that.
Even if they are working with Disney, though, is what I'm saying. Like, even if they are working with Disney, they're working with Disney.
Yes.
Is what I'm saying.
But I'm also, my argument isn't so much that they can't be involved. It's more that when you are going to an external company, when you're part of a company and you have all the resources within said parent organization, it becomes easier to keep control and to have creative input than if you are Marvel originally selling off Spider-Man to Sony, and Sony saying, sure, we'll let you have some input. Because in that situation, you're selling off to the main people in this project are the movie people, because they have the setup to do it and the experience, and you can I can have creative input, but they're also saying, well, yeah, but you also don't know what it means to make a movie, where in their current situation, they're set up so they can have that input because they're part of the same company. So my argument isn't so much that you can't have creative input. You should. I obviously argue you should. But when you're working with another corporation doing something in a different industry than what you're set up for or used to, unless they're already part of your organization in some way, you're going to lose some of that control because they're going to say, no, we know what to do because this is our industry, not yours. And that honestly happens a lot. And Nintendo made that mistake massively in the 80s and early 90s.
And then they're just like, you don't get the rights to anything ever. It's all us.
And the fact that they're even thinking about putting out Pokemon to a major studio again, I mean, shows they're trying to get back out there. But let's be honest, they also have a horrible experience with that. We all know what happened with the Legend of Zelda TV series, Captain N, the Mario TV series, the Mario movie. All this stuff really just said, you should never share your stuff in any other medium. And what did they do for the next 25 years?
And admittedly, like they
didn't share it.
They didn't have a bad idea.
They didn't share it with other people. They didn't sell their
product.
I
thought you were talking about like what did they do for the next 20 years? Oh, they just showed Pokemon because that was the only successful TV series.
Well, yeah, but that was also, they did that.
That was kind of
internally.
Like Game Freak as well.
You gotta realize Japan is very ethnocentric, meaning they're very much, Nintendo is too, and so they're only gonna trust people within their own country or culture to do it. And so that's why the Pokemon anime was given, probably. Again, it's a lot of assumption, but most likely because that was originally given to a Japanese studio to be a Japanese product. The fact that it made it over here is the amazing bit.
I think one thing that, Boo was saying, about the company, the creators being involved in the movie making process of a video game. Not only that, but also people in general, like the director should be willing to make a faithful adaptation. I remember with Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil movie was set to be made by the same guy who did Night of the Living Dead. What's the name?
George Romero?
Yeah, George Romero. The way he wanted to make a faithful movie, and so either he or an assistant played the video game while the other one took notes. And so that way they can make a faithful movie. They pitched it to Square Enix. Square Enix read it and said, no, fuck it, we're just gonna give it to this
I
guy.
think it was Capcom.
Capcom?
Yeah, Capcom.
Oh, Capcom, sorry.
And that kills me because like that's not the only instance. Like Guillermo del Toro actually went out of his way to post like a very accurate retelling of BioShock to make a BioShock film, and pretty much poured so much work into it. He's like, I got this. This is gonna be great. And then every studio's like, we can't put money into an R-rated movie. And he's like, it needs to be hard R though. And they're like, then it's not gonna exist. And he's like, fine, it'll be paper forever. And that's just not a thing now.
Well, with any luck, the Deadpool movie will show people how profitable an R-rated movie can be, especially a big. No, it wasn't a huge budget, but it was still a major studio.
So we can get
And
a hard
so hopefully, maybe we'll see that Bioshock movie.
Yeah, BioShock, Ratchet and Clank,
Yeah, I'd like to see that animal
movie
girl.
channels. It's all coming together. This web of fucking nonsense rambling.
The video game cinematic universe, guys.
All right.
Confirmed.
Anyway, good movie.
Good movie.
It's a good movie.
I actually,
Would recommend.
I actually have
We
to
should
change.
probably stop rambling.
Okay, rambling. I do want to ask everybody one question.
Yes.
Your favorite scene, will ya?
The Wilhelm scream.
Okay.
Come back to me. Circle back. Circle
What's
back.
your
I
favorite?
gotta think so too.
Okay.
This is on the spot.
My
It's too quick.
favorite scene was pretty simple. It was the scene where we're introduced to the tactics lady for the team when she's playing like online video game and she's making a 12-year-old cry.
Wait, are you actually crying?
That was probably my favorite joke scene right there.
I probably liked a lot of like the villain. Like pretty much any scene with him I actually liked.
The main villain or Dr.
Nefarious.
Nefarious?
Dr. Nefarious I thought was really
Like this,
funny.
you gotta
Yeah,
differentiate
they-
this
yeah.
movie.
Like literally my favorite
Confusing.
scene was like when he's just sitting there, he's like, dear diary, no, dear journal, that's more menacing. And he just like goes on this random cavalcade that and like realizes the guy's listening in on him and it's just the excuse he gives. That shit was funny, I like that.
Do you have one now?
I liked the ending
Ending.
because the credits were done and I could go pee because I needed the bathroom. So it was all uphill from there.
There was actually one gripe that I did have about the movie. The movie's called Ratchet and Clank, and I feel like they didn't explore like the friendship that Ratchet and Clank actually had. I mean,
To be fair,
Yeah.
they didn't have a friendship. They literally met.
They
Oh, yeah, no,
weren't
but I
friends.
thought that they were
They weren't
to
friends
build
that
up
were
that-
like, and they did like when Ratchet was like, oh, I'm not gonna be part of the fucking heroes anymore. I'm gonna go back to this fucking mechanic shop to help out. Clank was like, I got your back. That showed that it was the beginning of a friendship.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get
They're right,
that.
yeah,
oh,
no
we're
problem if
practically
they do
like
make it-
brothers relationship until at least the sequel.
Yeah, they did kind of show that
yeah, they do make a
Jumping the gun here.
Ratchet was much more like Captain Quark and all the others was like all gung-ho and stuff, and then literally Clank was clearly with like the robot girl and all that
She
stuff.
was in a robot.
She wasn't a
She kind of
robot.
looked like a robot.
She did not look
She
anything
looked
like a
nothing like a robot.
Everyone
had a visor.
Everybody had visors. What the fuck are
Dr.
you
Nefarious
saying?
had a visor, and he wasn't a robot until the end.
Dude, dumb.
No, she was just some alien nerd chick who liked to make little boys cry on Xbox Live.
And was apparently a robot.
We all called it wrong, guys. She was a robot.
We're all the idiots, except not really.
All right. All right. We all give it a recommendation. Go see it.